news, real voices.
Have arrived in Lagos according to authorities in Nigeria.
Tune in to Adamimogo 107.7 FM.
On Global Box, my name is Oladoyin Ayegbusi. Now the news in detail. We begin from Nigeria, where the Nigerian National Petroleum Company Limited (NNPCL) says it has stopped importing refined petroleum product. NNPCL's Group Chief Executive Officer Micheal who disclosed this said the national oil company is now off taking fuel from the Dangote refinery and other local refineries. Recall that on October 11th, the federal government announced the regulation of the downstream sector, allowing other marketers to buy directly from the refinery and ending the NNPCL sole off-taker role. However, a domestic refining Kiari denied media report that the NNPC is a saboteur and of domestic refining by not supporting local refineries. Away from Nigeria, dozens of world leaders they convened at Azerbaijan for COP29 to discuss how nations will limit long-term global temperature rises to 1.5C to a target set by the Paris Agreement in 2015. But many big names are skipping the United Nations climate talks where the impact of Donald Trump's election victory is keenly felt. Speaking during the conference, Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, said finance is a fundamental step changes across the world to put under control the crashing climate disaster while expressing confidence that a deal will be reached at the ongoing conference. Meanwhile, the UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, who is expected to address the COP29 gathering, speak to newsmen on the climate issue and how he intends to tackle them. The UK Prime Minister 5 more arrests over the violence which followed a match involving an Israeli football team in Amsterdam on Thursday night. The 5 men, all from the Netherlands and aged between 18 to 37, are suspected of public violence against persons before and after the Maccabi Tel Aviv match against local team Ajax. 5 people were treated in hospital and others suffered minor injuries. Recall that the Prime Minister Dick Schoof had earlier said that anti-Semitic attacks against Israelis and Jewish were nothing short of shocking and reprehensive. The Israeli military carried out at least 5 airstrikes on the Hezbollah-controlled southern suburbs of Beirut. This comes after Israel's defense minister ruled out any ceasefire in Lebanon until Israel's goals had been met. Reports have it that in Israel, air raid sirens sounded in parts of the north, sending residents running for shelter, and the military said a number of suspicious area targets were launching from Lebanon. However, there were no immediate reports of casualties from the latest strike. There were no reports of injuries as well. Global Box is reaching you live from Adamimogo 107.7 FM. It is still to come. New Zealand Prime Minister apologizes for horrific home care. Please stay with us.
Is here with us again. Oh yes, Adamimogo 107.7 FM Idoikiti is using this medium to inform and invite children, parents, heads of nursery, primary and secondary schools, churches and individuals wishing to sponsor children and be a part of our 2024 Father Christmas show beginning from Second Field. Our Father Christmas will arrive from Rome and be seated at his grotto in our station to receive children, dance and play with them. There are lots of take-home goodies and gifts from Father Christmas as well as toys and play gadgets to make children's visit interesting, long-lasting and memorable. For further inquiries, please contact Desmond Olaoluwa on 0806 511 4430 or Bayo Babalola on 0803 562 5812. Adamimogo 107.7 FM Idoikiti 2024 Father Christmas Show promises to be exciting. Be a part of it.
Welcome back and thanks for joining us again. You can subscribe to our YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook via Adamimogo 107.7 FM. For happenings around you and news inquiries, please contact our newsroom on 0811-801-8242. Now to the rest of the news. Donald Trump continues to make senior appointments to his incoming administration before he formally takes power in January. Reports have it that Florida Senator Marco Rubio is in talks to become Secretary of State. Also, Florida Congressman Micheal has been lined up as National Security Advisor, and other Trump loyalists have been put in key positions. It also added that President-elect Donald Trump is also expected to name Rep. Micheal, a Florida Republican, to serve as National Security Advisor. And now New Zealand's Prime Minister Christopher Luxon has formally apologized to victims of abuse in care homes following an inquiry into one of the country's biggest abuse scandals. Luxon, who made the apology today in Parliament, said he is making the apology on behalf of himself and the previous government. Luxon, who described the situation a horrific, heartbreaking and wrong, said the government must take responsibility because the experience has affected them, changing the course of their lives, and should never have happened. The historic apology delivered in Parliament comes after a 6-year report found that 200,000 children and vulnerable adults had suffered abuse while in the state and faith-based care between 1950 and 2019. Multiple people have sustained injuries after a car plunged into a crowd outside a stadium in Chinese city of Zhuhai. Police confirmed the incident, stating that the 62-year-old driver has been arrested. It also added that at least 20 people, many of whom were struck while exercising at Zhuhai Sports Center, were injured and have been sent to hospital. The incident took place despite heightened security in the city, which is also hosting a major civil and military air show. It is, however, unclear whether the incident was linked to the high-profile Zhuhai Air Show, which started today at a venue just 40 kilometers away from the stadium. In Asia, stocks stumble due to declines in Chinese markets and ship shares as investors worry about U.S. President-elect Donald Trump's policy. This occurs right about the time Bitcoin hit a record peak on bets and assets that are set to benefit from the new administration. In the meantime, investors expect that Trump's second term in office will bring equities boosting tax cuts and looser regulations, thereby lifting the world's biggest and best-known cryptocurrency, Bitcoin, to an all-time high of $89,637. And talking sport, Ireland winger Mark Hassan says the squad will ignore outside noise in the build-up to their test against Argentina in Dublin on Friday, and the Farrell side saw their home winning streak ended at 19 by the All Black last week and subsequently lost their place at the top of the world rankings. While questions have been asked of a team that have been beaten in 3 of their past 5 matches, Hassan pointed to how Andy Farrell's side responded to their last setback. Thanks to a pair of late Cian Froley's drop goals, Ireland came back to beat South Africa and draw their 2-test series in July, 1 week after being decidedly outplayed in the first meeting. And with that sports story, we end this edition of Global Boxing at Adamimogo 107.7 FM. Before we go, the highlight again. We brought it to you that the Nigeria National Petroleum Company Limited, NNPCL, says it has stopped importing refined products. NNPC Group Chief Executive Officer Micheal, who disclosed this, said the National Oil Company is now off taking fuel from the Dangote Petroleum Refinery and other local refineries. We also brought it to you that Donald Trump continues to make senior appointments to his incoming administration before he formally takes power in January. Finally, we told you that New Zealand's Prime Minister Christopher Luxon has formally apologized to victims of abuse in care homes following an inquiry into one of the country's biggest abuse scandals. And that's Global Box on Adamimogo 107.7 FM, Ido Ekiti. On behalf of the production crew, my name is Ola Doyin Ayegbusi. Thanks for listening. Good afternoon.